Welcome to Saints on Cinema. I'm Tim Wild, and with me for the first time in a little while, it feels like, is Josh and Ashley.
Hi, we're here.
Yeah. This is a special occasion because Josh is like an old man, and you can see it in his beard because he just turned 50 yesterday. What was it? Your birthday?
I turned the big 40.
40. How was it?
It was fine. Yeah, it was cool because we had General Conference and Easter all in the same weekend.
And your birthday.
Yeah, ate up a storm. I'm still feeling the effects of that, and
still complaining about it on Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at me, I'm eating sweets. Aren't I just so crazy and wild now? Oh, one more day of eating food. Oh, now back to the gym. That's my Josh. Anyway, well, glad you had a good time.
Yeah, Ashley, I mean, it could be worse. I could be wearing a 6th grade Little League,
This is the large. I guess every team gets. I'm the assistant or one of the what do they call them? Assistant coaches, just coaches. I don't know.
Yeah,
in real baseball, there's a manager and then the coaches. I'm one of the two not head coaches, so the foot coach. So there's a head coach and then the 2 feet. I'm one of the 2 feet. And
are you on one of the baselines?
I didn't tonight. I've done that before. So
okay.
Yeah, and I don't like that. I don't like the pressure. I'm not that up on like the competitiveness of the game. I just like being there and clapping and cheering them on. And
the guy's like, everybody's a winner, guys.
I'm like, you guys suck.
We just all want to have fun.
No, it's just I'm just as bad as some of the kids sometimes, as far as like being aware of where the play is or like whether to steal or not, that kind of stuff. Like, I don't want that kind of responsibility. I just want to be there and like, hey, I'll gather the bats after practice and I'll help out.
Hey, here's some orange slices.
Jersey out of it. No, I'm not that bad. I'm just teasing. But I like being I like being the first base coach, so I can sit there and chit chat with the other coaches while our team is playing, and it's just kind of fun. I don't like being third base because then you're like kind of really responsible. You really have to be paying attention for the signals and all that stuff, and this is too much responsibility. Kind of like real life,
Yeah,
anyway.
You don't like responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, there's like the other coaches they've done it for years. It's like their second, third, or fourth kid, and they've all played Little League, and they know all the other kids, and they're way more experienced and in the know-how of it, in the know of it. I don't know that. I'm like, let them do it. Anyway, who cares about that? That's why I'm wearing this. We just came right from a game because I had to race home from a baseball game while these two are like, it's going to be so late. I'm tired. I'm already yawning. All that chocolate I ate all weekend on my birthday is catching up to me.
That's true. That is 100% accurate. I am still feeling it. It's bad.
I'm glad. Ashley, how are you doing?
Doing grand. Thanks, Tim.
All right, good talk.
We could tell that she was very sincere in her grandness.
I'm grand.
She's excited. I want to hear about all the places and all the times that she cried during Godzilla.
I am baffled by that. Okay, so today's episode, just to introduce it. Well, before we get there, hang on.
Oh, we got more non-video stuff. We got non-topic stuff that we still want to talk about.
Yes, because you know what? This is a show, and in the show we have features, and one of the features, my favorite feature, is the personal study. I want to know what you guys have been watching lately because we haven't talked in a while.
I've been watching a lot of 90 Day Fiance. There is an endless like wormhole of variations on 90 Day Fiance. There's like 90 Day Fiance proper. There's 90 days the other way, where instead of them coming to America, they're going to the other country. There's Before the 90 Days, which is my personal favorite because it's the first time that they're meeting the people that they've been talking to.
How old is this show?
It's years. It's been going on for years. And I'm just now watching 90 Days Happily Ever After, where it's tracking people who've been on the show, on the 90 Day Fiance show, and what's been going on afterwards. And it's pure insanity. Like, it's called Happily Ever After, but nobody's happy. And it's
I was going to say, are they all just so dysfunctional? Like your the description the first time you watched it? Is it just as bad?
They're all completely dysfunctional, and it's just because it's like they don't understand each other's culture. There's a couple of them that clearly only did it for the green card, but you could have told. I mean, you kind of knew immediately. There's one where, like a woman came from Colombia and met a guy from Oklahoma, and she's kind of like a party girl in Colombia, and then she moves to Oklahoma and she's unhappy. So she decides to move to Miami. And so he follows her to Miami, and he likes Oklahoma, and so it's just like little things like that are just really, really difficult. But anyway, as far as movies though, I have to say, I went and saw the movie The Unholy, which I was very excited about because I love Jeffrey Dean Morgan and Carrie Ells, who are both in it. And
you told me to go see that. I didn't. You're like, oh, you like Carrie Ells? You should go see this movie. I'm like, okay. And I didn't know. I thought it was some old movie that I didn't know about because I haven't watched like non-superhero big movies. I haven't watched trailers for anything like that in so long. And so I didn't even know those you saw in the theater. So you went to the theater like twice in a row, according to Facebook.
Yeah, I went on Wednesday to see Godzilla versus Kong, and then I went on Friday with my son to go see The Unholy.
Did they just open this last week? How long? Like, when did the theaters open for you guys?
They opened. Yeah, it opened like just the week before Godzilla. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how many people are in your theater? I'm just curious.
Not a lot, but I went during the day. I took the week off from work, and so I
to go see the movie.
No, I took it off because
I've been eating a lot of chocolate, and I'm gonna see 2 movies. This is a big deal.
Yeah, I ate a lot of popcorn.
But I can't go to Utah to visit Tim.
Yeah. So, but no, I ended up. So I went to Godzilla versus Kong, and the theater, it was like a 12:30 showing, on Wednesday. It was spring break.
IMAX?
No, but it was like an XD, Cinemark XD. And I would say it was probably, it's hard to tell with social distancing, but like it seemed like every other row had people in it.
Yeah.
And then The Unholy, there was like nobody there. There was like.
Did you see it in the theater, Ashley, or did you see it at home?
I saw the theater.
What was it? It was a similar experience, pretty much packed?
I just remember, it was packed for what it was, but I just remember looking at it and thinking it was so sad. And then like watching like the new like COVID procedure trailer like thing before the movie where it was, kind of showing like their new guidelines and their new structure and everything that they're doing. And then it said, we're all in this together. And it had like the picture of the theater and there was only 5 people in it. And this is so sad. Like,
it sounds like something like they should have put that like on public television and be like, hey, come up to the theater. There's only a few of us. Like, it's okay.
No, like it was like their commercial. Like they're trying to show that there's like, distancing and everything else, which is, important. But it just reminds me of like how fun it was to have like the crowded place.
Like 6 feet, wear your mask, no cell phones, clean up your popcorn.
Bonus. There was no one in front of me, so I could put my feet up on the chair. So
yeah,
that was kind of.
I did the same thing.
Yeah, so I was excited because I sat down in my spot and I bought my ticket this morning, IMAX, and there was like the entire theater was available. So I picked the sweet spot, first row, right in the center, right where I wanted it. It was perfect. And I show up and there's this empty row in the front of me, and then because I like to be right, like there's the bottom section and then there's the main section. I want to be in the very front row of the main section. And then the handicapped people have a big drop off underneath them. But so for social distancing, they had the handicap and then the first row and then my row. And like right before the movie starts, in comes this freaking family with a bunch of kids. And they come sit right in front of me on the row just off the side. I'm like, I was about to get up and move. And I already, put my candy here, my drink here, put all the arms down to utilize all the slots, I was all excited. And here I'm like set. And then here they come. And they're already talking and stuff like before they even sit down. Like, he said, you guys, I want to sit by you. And I'm like, oh, this is going to ruin this movie for me. And so I'm like about to get up, literally. And then finally Dad's like, and then they all get up and go. I'm like, it's a huge empty theater. There is someone sitting in the handicapped seat, and then that first row where they were gonna go, and then my spot. And I'm like, guys, like, and it's like seating. You already bought the tickets. I know that wasn't like where you purchased. Anyway, sorry, Josh, were you gonna say something? I cut you off because
I was gonna say I think I kind of prefer the social distancing in the theater.
Yeah,
like it's kind of nice to not have anyone really sitting around you, and I understand that for the theaters to survive, they need to get past this. I totally get that. But it was just nice to be able to sit there and just like with my kids and nobody around. Like if one of my kids talked a little loud, no, it wasn't going to bother anybody because nobody was real close to us, that type of stuff.
Right. And I've sat next to you in a theater and you're a bigger guy. I'm sure you do like, height and everything, you know what I'm saying? But I'm sure you like having that space around you.
Yeah, I can do fine. I can do fine either way. It doesn't really bother me too much, but
because I didn't even want to sit by. I'm like, could I please be 6 feet away from Josh? But that'd be rude and about the ticket.
Yeah, so it was just nice to be back in the theater, though. Although if there's a complaint I'm going to have, it is that for whatever reason, they are not giving the free refills on the large popcorn anymore. They used to, if you buy a bit large popcorn, you could come back and get a free refill. And so what I typically would do to beat the system is, because I got 4 kids and they all love popcorn, is I'd buy the large popcorn and get some of those like cartons, and then I'd get them and I'd empty it out on all of them so they all have their popcorn, and then go get another one. And like before the movie started, I would just use my second one, so I had basically 2 popcorns for the price of 1. And they don't do that now. So they don't allow you to get the free popcorn. So I thought that was kind of rip off.
I can't remember how they do it. I don't eat popcorn. That's not my thing.
Yeah, you don't like anything that people enjoy.
Yeah.
So
just Twizzlers or Red Vines.
Red Vines are better than Twizzlers, that's for sure.
Yeah. And I only eat one.
Well, anyway. Okay. It was just really nice to be able to be sitting in a theater again.
Yeah.
And so, and that's why I went the second time. Also because I just thought I love Jeffrey Dean Morgan so much from Negan in The Walking Dead that I really wanted to see The Unholy. And if you're going to go watch it, we'll do a review of it.
Yeah, I do want to hear about it.
Yeah, and so, but I did see that too, and
cool.
So that
I will watch it because I do like Carrie Elwes. So, Ashley, what have you been watching lately?
Not very much. I started rewatching an old series that I liked forever ago called Switched at Birth, which is a TV series from ABC. So I started binge watching that not that long ago.
Switched at Birth?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a reality show of like messes.
No. It's a TV drama series. It's about 2 teenage girls. One's 16. She's taking a blood test at school, and she's AB, but both of her parents are like O or something. And so she asked for a DNA test just for curiosity, because she always thought she was different, and turns out they aren't her biological parents. They were switched. She was switched at birth. So their actual biological daughter was raised by a Puerto Rican single mom, and she was raised with a baseball star, like famous dad. And anyway, it's fun.
Like me?
Yes, just like you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I discovered a new show that's been around for a really long time, just like what Josh was saying. I scrolled on Facebook or something. You know, when you click on someone's video and it goes in that other weird page where it just scrolls up just videos and videos and videos. I watched a clip from the what's it called, the Pawn Stars show.
Pawn Stars, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I've heard of these kind of shows, but I've never seen anything. But I don't remember what it was. I just landed on, because it scrolls up for you when you finish the video. It's like, yeah, if you're not paying attention, we're gonna keep it going, So I did that, and I watched it. I was like, this is really interesting. And then I was, separately just floating through Hulu. I think it's on Hulu. No, HBO. I don't know, wherever it is. And there it was. I was like, I want to check it out. I want to see what this show is like. I want what the format is and how they do it. And I popped it on, and then I watched the show, and I was like, you know what? This is kind of cool. It's it's interesting, the kind of stuff they bring in and the characters, and it's really cheesy and gimmicky. All this little skits they do in the back room are all obviously scripted. It's all fake, but the stuff that people bring in. And I don't know how I feel about the sketchiness of it, but like they come in and they have real stuff and it's real reactions to their stuff. I don't think it's completely produced like that. I think it's that portion of it I think is relatively real. But even the characters, they're not great actors. They work in this pawn shop. They're really good. They're experts on like everything. But you put them in the back trying to do little skits. I'm like, there's some charm to that. It's a cute little performance for their dumb little interactions or whatever the plot is of the episode. But like my only thing with you guys watch it? Have you just seen it?
I've seen it. I've seen it every once in a long.
But you've seen like a full episode. But they always like every time someone brings something in, they always look at it, they joke with them, they say, "Oh, this is why this is awesome, and this is why I'm curious and why I'm intrigued by it, whatever." And they get them all hyped up a little bit. And every time they're like, "But what do you want to get? What do you want for it?" And then they say how much money their proposal is, right? And they're like, "Well, I don't know that much about it." So let me go call my expert down here. So then they leave the guy there, looks around, makes a phone call after hearing the pitch, have the guy come down, do the appraisal, and then he says, "Well, what's this worth?" And then they give him the appraisal, which is 99% of the time way lower than what the person proposed. And so then they're like, "Well, you heard my guy, so..." So my thing is like, on that phone call that's off camera, he could be like, "Yeah, dude, this guy's got a baseball card and it's, I don't know, but the guy wants 500, so when you come in, that's what he wants." And he comes in and maybe lowballs. I don't believe that's really the case because these guys are real professionals that are putting their reputations. They can't go on the History Channel and like publicly like sham people, you know what I mean? But it's like there's a lot of the sketchy stuff on this side. I'm like, I want to know what the other part of that is, or don't hear what they want until the expert comes in, then negotiate. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's kind of fun. That stuff is really interesting. Anyway, I'm gonna open this box. I got a package on my door. This is our first Saints on Cinema unboxing.
I'm really glad that we're talking about this Godzilla vs. Kong.
Hey, we'll get there. This, my friends, I have a lot of mail on the way to me, so I thought this was what it was. This is, in light of the Zack Snyder cut of that crappy movie that you guys probably like because I hated it. This is the Death of Superman comic.
Oh, yes, I still have my copy of it.
This is nothing
That's
special.
The one where Batman kills him?
Batman has never killed Superman, so just stop that,
It's
right?
not.
No.
Yeah.
The story where, in this, what is it, the Rise of the Dark Knight or whatever?
No.
Where
It's in the comic.
Dead. Huh?
It's in a comic.
No. Superman
Batman
is buried,
created
and when
weapon.
Batman walks away and then you hear his heartbeat or whatever. I don't know. This is whatever. He never killed him. All right. On with the show. We're talking about King Kong versus Godzilla. Now, this is the Matthew Broderick one. I just quickly tried to grab one off the shelf. I couldn't find the one because all my DVDs are out of line right now. But that's what we're talking about. And I've been excited about this movie. And we talked about the King Kong movies and the Godzilla movies a little bit. We know I love Skull Island. I think we've made that clear in the past. Godzilla. Oh, well, we did our review of the Rise of the Monsters or whatever the crap that movie was called. Mm-hmm. Josh, we saw that. Is that one we saw? No, it wasn't.
Did we see that together? I don't think so.
Well, we reviewed it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was looking forward to this very much. And before I have thoughts. But before we do, I'm gonna let you guys just give it all the praise because that's what you guys do. Theater. We all saw in the theater, right?
Yeah.
Ashley?
Yeah. So. Okay. So here's my thoughts. First of all, I'm really glad I saw it in the theater, and I'm glad that as I said when we did the trailer reaction, it was clear that this was a theater movie. Like visually. It was one you'd want to see. I have HBO Max and I have like a home theater that I could watch it on, and I still went to the theater because it just needed that experience. And
right.
I was really glad I did it in XD because the added surround sound was perfect for the movie. And the way I've described it is, as long as you go in understanding that this is a basic monster movie, that don't take the plot too seriously, don't really pay a lot of attention to all the human interactions, and just have fun with it, you're going to be satisfied. I was satisfied because that's all I wanted out of it. I didn't think that the human interactions were definitely not as bad as they were in King of the Monsters. I think that they were better than that. I think it was a lot of fun. I think that they humanized the monster fighting a little too much. It just looked like, I mean, they were straight doing wrestling moves on each other at some points. Like it was like, you know, like Kong jumping off the
like you grab that arm, I'll grab this arm. We're gonna bend him a specific way so we can't.
Yeah, it's like he's got. Oh look, he's got
tag team, tag me in.
Yeah, he's got him in a Kimura lock. Look at this. Yeah, like it was just. But other than that,
to the point that we even entered. I'm just gonna say this part. We'll say spoilers. Okay, obviously we just spoiled the so far. If you didn't watch the trailer, or read the title, you were probably aware that there's fighting between the two monsters. But I was say the second that Kong saw that stupid axe in the last fight, I was like, they're gonna do an Iron Man thing. They're gonna do an Iron Man thing. I was like, I'm gonna be so mad. And then sure enough, Godzilla, and he's like, I was like, oh, kill me now. Okay, go ahead. But yeah, but I understand what you're saying. Yes, they were very conscious of like moves. It wasn't just brutal strength against brutal strength like it had been before.
I really liked I really like how Japan looked. You know, the fight in Japan looked really cool. In fact, I don't even know if they still do 3D in theaters anymore, but that would have been one that would have been kind of cool to see in 3D, I think. And so, but
if you like that kind of thing,
I don't normally, but I think that movie would have been one worth paying the extra $3 a person to go do that. But yeah, overall, I thought it was fun. I enjoyed it very much. My youngest son, like right in the middle of it, was just like, "This is the greatest thing I've ever seen." You know, he was just so excited by the whole thing.
Did you see Skull Island? I'm just curious.
Yeah, he saw them all.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that one R or is that not R?
No, none of them are R. I would say if I were going to rate this, I would say that this is my favorite of the monster movies, other than Skull Island.
Island. I was like, dude.
Skull Island was better. This is a second, definitely better than both of the Godzilla movies, in my opinion.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, Ashley, what do you think? Well, I have this big glare on my face. By the way, I'm just saying that, yeah, it's showing 3D tickets in some cities around here, not like the big theaters. But anyway, go ahead. We'll come back to. I have some thoughts on your points, or Josh. We'll come back.
Okay.
So, okay. So it ended for me in like a happy way. Like I was satisfied. Because again, wait. So you said there's spoilers? Like we can give spoilers?
We can spoil. Yeah.
Well.
Because everyone has this at home on HBO. If they didn't watch it before they watched us, I don't know what they did all weekend. They weren't at Josh's birthday party, so they should have been watching this movie.
Oh, all right. Okay. So, like, that was one of the things. So, like, I'm, like, totally partial to Godzilla. Like, so my grandma has, like, this amazing Christmas village that it literally, like, covered, like, her entire living room. It's, like, ginormous. And for jokes, I kept getting Godzilla action figures and putting them, like, randomly throughout her, like, village. Like, for a couple of years, there's like 3 of them. And so like I really like Godzilla, and like I was worried. I'm like, I didn't want Godzilla to die, but I didn't want Kong to die either. And I was like, neither one of them can die. Otherwise I'm going to lose my mind. And like all the times where I was just like, oh my gosh, like every time they got hurt, I was like, no. Like I didn't like it. I wanted them to be friends, and I wanted them to like walk.
I wanted to team up.
I
didn't know.
I want them. This movie needs to end with them like holding hands, walking away,
forming a Justice League.
They save the world together.
I didn't know how they were gonna do that until the second that they introduced, and as soon as you saw the spikes come up on the whatever, Metaltron or whatever his name is.
Mecha.
I was like, oh, that's where they're going. They're gonna team up to fight that thing. And I was like, okay. And this is, it's very, very predictable. But I was with you, Ash. I'm like, where are they going with this? Like, because they're like, Kong doesn't bow to anybody, and then the other was like, oh, but Godzilla's like gotta clean out. He's got to keep the devastation of the Titans down and got to neutralize everything. It's like, wow, what are they gonna do? But then they're like, oh, but here's the humanity threat. Like, oh, well, there you go. They're gonna kill the humanity threat.
All the humans were awful, and all the ones that died deserved to die. So that was like a good thing. And then that made me
Did all the
happy.
ones that lived deserve to live?
I don't know. Anyway, but like it was.
As I was saying, there were plenty of, or more characters that needed to be in this movie. I'll say that, but go ahead.
Okay, but it's like what was kind of like cute was, you know, like Kong's like love for that little girl, and like how he like checked the airplane. He's like, or the little weird helicopter thing. He like looks in it to make sure she's on it before he crushed it, so the daughter like died.
Oh, is that what he did down in his little throne room? Okay, I remember looking. He's like,
precious. He was
Okay.
checking to make sure the little girl wasn't in there because
because he lost track of her. He was sitting there. The reason he got involved in the first place was because they were pulling guns on him.
Well, right, but like, you know, he just had to make sure because everyone's running around. There's bats flying all over the place, you know. So he's just making sure, being diligent, like a king. But like, so no, it was like sweet. But the thing is, like, it was really nice. Is like, yeah. So how it ended, I was really happy with. But yeah.
With Kong having his own reality show and Godzilla going for a swim. That's everyone's where they should be.
This is how it needed to be. So,
All right,
yeah,
so
I was satisfied.
I want to know right now, Ashley, other than the fact that they were doing sign language, and I know that's like that's very important to you and that's a tender part of your heart, I know. Other than that, what was there to get emotional about in this movie? Was it just the stuff with the little girl? Is that it?
No. I say, like, if Godzilla or Kong got hurt, I was going to cry. Them get hurt, I was going to cry. Like,
did you watch Skull Island? You must have been crying the whole last hour of the movie.
Dude, I haven't. So no, because I haven't seen that one, and when
You haven't?
we were all talking about them all, I haven't because like when I watched King Kong, like it was so bad. I literally like hyperventilated, bawling, like massive ugly cry, and it was awful. And
You're talking about the
couldn't do
Peter
it.
Jackson one, aren't you?
Yeah, like with Jack Black.
With
and
Jack
everything,
Black?
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was bawling and hyperventilating because I was so they were so mean.
Like, 'twas beauty that killed the
fair.
beast, and Ashley's like, it's true.
It's not. No, it was not fair. And then like with Godzilla, same thing. I'm like, you guys need to stop being mean to him. He's doing nothing wrong. And yeah, so there's just I couldn't handle. And you guys were like, no, like you're gonna watch it, it'll be fine. And like, so
This
yeah,
And we were right. And we were right. You were
You're
fine.
You were right. Even though you guys are punks and like wouldn't like answer my questions, it would have been so much.
What
better.
question? Oh, which part you cried?
No,
What question?
so you hadn't seen it yet, but like Josh had seen it, so I was like, I need to know. Like, and he's like, I'm not telling you anything. I'm like, I need to know if one of them dies. He's like, no, and I'm just like, I need to know because
I never heard this question from you.
You hadn't seen it yet. You had said you hadn't.
Ashley,
seen it.
I have one word for you that answers that question before you even saw the trailer. Sequels.
No, I don't think there's gonna be.
They weren't gonna kill either of them, I promise.
Oh, interestingly, you say that. So there was no secret scene at the end of this. And
I
looked-
know. When I sat there and I was like, I text my brother, I'm like, well, there's 5 minutes wasted. And I even thought to myself, I could just pull up my HBO app on my phone, zoom to the end, and see if there was, or see if there's anything, to see if it's worth the wait. I was like, no, they've done one in all the other ones. I'm sure there's something. Nothing.
So I looked it up, and the reason they didn't was because they're not sure where to go from here. Like
Yeah,
this was the
I was
plan.
like,
This was the plan all along, was to get to this, and now that they've done it, they're like, well, now what do we do? And
I'll
so-
tell you what they do. Here's my biggest complaint. They jump too far. They went way too quick to get to this point. You had a crappy Godzilla movie, a crappy sequel to a Godzilla movie that introduced all these other monsters, an awesome King Kong movie, and then they said, well, we're going to do Batman versus Superman immediately and then try and establish the DCEU. It doesn't work that way. They did the Godzilla and Kong, but they skipped like 40 or 50 years. And I was sitting there doing this math. The first Riley or whatever his name is, the pilot in Kong Skull Island crashed on Skull Island in the World War II, right? And then Vietnam is when Samuel Jackson and his team went in there, the very end of them. So that's like the 60s, right? Mm-hmm. Following my math? Mm-hmm. 60s till now, because this was very current with cell phones and podcasts and everything. Excuse me. From the 60s to now, that's like 50 years that King Kong was sitting on that island. There's a lot of story that they skipped, including how the frick they got him off of the island. They skipped that 3 times. They show him with that stupid Shrek opening where he's taking a bath and scratching his butt and stuff like that. I'm like, what the crap am I watching? And then they're playing like that goofy, stupid music, which gimmick never works for me. It reminded me of the sunshine keeps falling on my, or raindrops falling on my head scene from Spider-Man 3. That kind of crap. But they started off with that, and he has like a beard. He's great. He's wizened a little bit. He's apparently a lot more humanized, according to a lot of different things. But like, this is not the same Kong that was in Kong Skull Island. He's not the same guy. And they like skipped they show that he's in the Truman Show. Okay, so somehow you got him off of the island and into the Truman Show, and then they cut to getting him out of the Truman Show and onto a ship, and then out of the ship and onto a bunch of helicopters. They never show the transportation. Do I need to see everything? Well, if in Skull Island you show how brutal he is against helicopters, and in the other King Kong movies and the Godzilla movies and everything, you've seen how difficult it is to suppress them or to like knock them out with gas and stuff like that. You can't tell me it was just, oh, it's just so easy. We just always take Kong. So when he essentially loses the fight at the end, I was telling my brother about it. I was like, James, he was drugged up the entire movie, which was days. He was drugged up, climbed through a tunnel that went through the entire half of the earth, and then he fought Godzilla. Of course he lost. He's exhausted. Anyway, but my point is, there was 50 years of stories that they skipped. And it reminded me of the Planet of the Apes movies. They start with the introduction of the apes and the disease. They skip 8 years or whatever of the war with the humanity, and then they're like, well, now the apes are going to rise. I'm like, well, that's the part I wanted to watch. I wanted to watch the fall of mankind. Anyway, that's that part.
Well, I think, I guess that a lot of that makes sense, but I think that gives them an opportunity to go back and do more prequels to show you all that.
So is that where they're going to go from here? Like, we're going to go back and tell the story because we jumped right to the battle between the two it was a moneymaker. That's what it was.
Yeah, what did you expect it to be?
Well, build it up, slow down.
I think that they were just aching to make a movie that people were going to pay a lot of money to see that didn't need a big
moneymaker.
plot.
That's it.
It was funny. My whole thing was I just said I just want it to be better than Pacific Rim, and that is like. And that was not a high bar, and it surpassed that. So I was like, okay, this is great. Yeah.
I didn't hate it. Let me say that. I didn't hate it. And I think even if it ended right now, they made no more of them, I'd be fine. I would not go back and watch the Godzilla movies again, even the Monsters one, which was visually was awesome. Mm-hmm. I would watch Skull Island. I might watch this one again. But again, this wasn't the same King Kong. Remember, as soon as I saw him wake up with the helicopters, I was like, did these guys watch the last movie? Because he really has a thing for helicopters after what happened on Skull Island. He would not, he's just, it was like a hammock, and he was just enjoying this flight. And here's the thing. Why are they taking him to Antarctica to go into the cave, when earlier in the movie they showed that little hologram that was like, oh, here's the inner core, and here's all these tubes that go out all over the world. But you know what? We're going to take the monkey and go down to Antarctica because somehow we feel like that hole is going to be like the easiest way to get in. And then they put him down there and they're like, oh, home is that way. He's never come through that hole. He's never been there. And they're like, well, what are you going to do if he doesn't go and he doesn't want to follow along? Well, maybe that's a conversation you should have had before you joined on the mission and put him on a freaking ship. They were way invested already at that point. And then he's like, what if he doesn't want to go? Oh, I didn't think about that. Dumb. The script in this movie, awful. Awful, awful, awful. Stupid lines. The little girl on the ship during a freaking typhoon, and the lady's up in the bridge, she goes, is she supposed to be out there? No, of course she's supposed to be out there. Then they run out there, she does sign language. And I'm like, when during the Truman Show of Kong did she have time to go out there? Ashley, how long have you been studying sign language?
Not that long.
Not that long. How long? How many hours of time have you been learning sign language?
It takes thousands of hours to actually.
There you go,
learn.
thousands of hours with this little girl in the forest teaching him sign language, and it wasn't like just basic stuff. At the end, she's like, "He's not the enemy. God, they're the enemy. Go down here." I was like, "Come on." Off camera, no one saw her doing that. Go ahead.
The woman, it wasn't the little girl that was trying to teach her. He was learning it from that woman. Forget her name. Like
the woman didn't know about it.
She
the
said
mother?
She had been trying to teach him general signs and the alphabet, and he was absorbing it, but he wasn't showing her that he was figuring out because he didn't want her to know. And so the little girl was implementing with everything else. They covered that.
All right. If that's what they said, I'll go with it, but that's just a goofy answer because in my mind, even watching someone do sign language, I imagine you'd have to get the physics down, you know? I don't know. Fine. If that's the explanation, there's one of my 12 things. I'll check off the list that it's okay. But the rest of that stuff was just dumb. Oh, they're mad at them. Just push the monkey off the boat. And the lady's like, oh, what if we push you off the boat? I'm like, are you serious? This is the dialogue?
Like I said, Tim, you just got to accept that there's going to be some campy humor and not a strong plot. And it's just going to be two monsters made of CGI.
Okay.
Fighting.
I'm fine with that. But look at the last movie. Well, first of all, Kong Skull Island, that was not a movie full of like goofy, stupid, horribly written lines like that. That was a very gritty movie with like a war-crazed freaking lieutenant who's bloodthirsty after Kong and a huge vendetta that erupted and these scary natives and stuff. That had some comedy in it, but it was not like that. It was a really tense and gritty script. And then you have the King of the Monsters, like you said, which was so convoluted and crazy and complicated that they didn't have time for goofy dialogue. This movie was a Godzilla King Kong movie happening, and they were also trying to throw in an episode of Stranger Things mixed with the Transformers cast. That's what this movie was. And all that crap, take it out, and let me just have a basic. You said the same thing my brother did. It's just a basic monster movie. No, they put so much stupid garbage in there trying to make it something more than it was that it just distracted and annoyed me. But I'll say this, it annoyed me less than the last one. But maybe you guys can help me because I don't understand plot, and this one tried way too much. Why were they trying to go down to get this blue magic core of the earth crap, this energy source?
Yeah, it's a new energy source.
How'd they even know about it?
Godzilla!
Godzilla has it? Like, in his flesh?
Yeah.
So they assume that there's, like, whatever's in his flesh is down, like, in the rocks on the inner earth?
No, they talk about that, too. Like, the whole salmon connection, where they have that, like, beacon in them. So he's connected to where he's from. He's able to gather that energy, which is how he knew when Kong was charging his axe on the little, like, floor thing.
Yeah, can we talk about that first of all?
What he was doing is they're blowing his stuff in like the river to like get that, hole in the ground.
Okay. So first of all, we don't know if Kong's ever been here before, right? In Skull Island they show his family, where all the graveyard and everything of his family members, right? They're like, okay, we have these little hovercrafts, these Jetson cars that can fly down into the center of the earth and deal with the gravity, but we need an escort. Why did they need an escort? As soon as they got down there, the ground was already blue. Why did they know there was a magic chasm? And as soon as Kong opened the door, I said to myself, if there's a freaking throne in there, I'm gonna throw up. And he pushes the door open, and there's a freaking throne. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? These creatures are primal, and yeah, they have some instincts, and they respond to each other and stuff. But they're not like he's not like carving out etchings and doing like palm prints and stuff for a secret door and like engraving a throne like it's freaking Moria from Lord of the Rings. I'm like, what the crap is this? Then he sits down and he's like, I have the power. I'm like, this is so freaking stupid. It's just Kong. He wakes up on a mountain and goes swinging around and takes a bath and eats like guts from a squid. Like, Kong is not this complicated thing. King of the monsters is not supposed to be literal. Lions are the king of the jungle. They don't literally have a pride rock that they stand on top of and like shout to the whole world.
Sure they do. Haven't you seen Lion King?
Yeah, live action even. Anyway, I was just like, this is stupid. This is not the same character from Skull Island. Go ahead, Ashley.
I'm just saying, like, they are titans. Titans go like back pre like the gods and stuff. Like, no, of course there's gonna be a history and like a hierarchy and everything in like Titan world, the Hollow Earth or whatever.
That they respond to each other?
What?
So like, was King Kong the king of the monsters underneath? Because that was a King Kong throne.
His what's the word?
The axe?
Ancestry and everything. It's in his blood.
Right. So he remembered. So either he had lived down there before, because they're like, oh, he knows where to go. We're gonna follow him in our Jetsons cars, right?
He doesn't
And then
know where to go. He has the beacon, and so he.
What beacon? What beacon?
Salmon fish. They made that connection.
Kong has a beacon?
Yes.
What, does he have one of those little blue crystal things like embedded in his fur somewhere?
No. It's the same thing like about salmon swimming upstream to go where they.
Okay.
So it's like they have the beacon.
I see what you're saying, but I'm not buying it. Again, if these were just monsters, I'd be fine, but they tried to make it Avatar, and it doesn't work.
This is real life, Tim.
This is real life.
Real
Okay.
thing.
I'm just saying, like, the monkey falling down hundreds and like literally thousands of miles to get to the inner core, and then he lands on the ground, and then there's giant insects and stuff, and like I was like, this world, this Journey to the Center of the Earth stuff was gonna be, I was like excited, like this could be really cool. And then when I was like trying to follow the camera, whereas it went up and down, and then suddenly it went up, and then there was like Kong upside down, like, oh, there's like two lands. I'm like, that's kind of cool. And then he like, Kong sees the mountaintop and he runs to the tip of it, and I'm like, oh, so he can jump and then the gravity flips. That's kind of cool. And he jumps up the mountain to the other mountaintop, and it's a carving of a monkey hand. I'm like, who's carving this stuff? Like, why would they're not like that complicated. Go ahead.
I just think, speaking of like your little camera room and everything like that, do you ever watch movies and be like, oh, if there was a roller coaster, this is what you'd be seeing right now? Do you ever like wonder that?
I thought of the Kong roller coaster at Universal. I was like, this would be really awesome. Right, Josh? Wake up, Josh. This is awesome conversation.
Anyway.
I liked the camera work. When the movie started, I was waiting for that cool photography like they did in Kong Skull Island. The camera work in that movie was so creative, where you'd have like the POV of the side of the helicopter spinning as it was crashing. You keep seeing King Kong and stuff. He'll grab it and the camera stays on and it picks up and looks at it, or like whatever. All that kind of stuff. They started doing some fun tricks with that, like when he was sinking the ship. And by the way, if King Kong jumps from one battleship to another battleship and lands on it, that much weight on one foot with that much power is gonna break that freaking hole. He's not gonna jump on a battleship and keep fighting, and they're like, we're good. Turn off the power so they think we're dead. You're all dead. Anyway, but then the plane takes off.
Godzilla and Kong, as they're like, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I think what's going on here too is you got to remember, like, it's Skull Island was such a perfect like blend of monster fighting and great plot. Like it was really good.
And a good script.
But it just doesn't seem like with these types of movies. I almost kind of look at like the original Fast and the Furious. Like you watch the original Fast and the Furious, and the plot's really, really good and it's really interesting. And then slowly over time, I mean, there's 9 of them now. And now the movies basically are just crazy, unrealistic stuff with cars mixed in with some funny one-liners from
Yeah.
The Rock and Vin Diesel, or now John Cena, who's in.
And everyone says the whole point of those movies is to see how crazy they can get. I'm like, not originally. It was just a rip off of
what I'm
Point Break.
saying is that over the course of time, they recognize that now people are going to see Fast and Furious to just see ridiculous car antics, and they don't really care that much about the plot. Godzilla versus Kong, like you could see, Skull Island was a great movie, plot-wise and everything. It just was great. Godzilla was decent with the plot, the original one, kind of establishing, everything.
But too much human stuff, not enough monsters.
Well, I think the original Godzilla was also establishing all these different entities and things like that. And then King of the Monsters just went way too far on the plot and didn't do great. I think this movie, they just recognized that a movie like this, people are coming to just see the monsters fight. And they threw in some plot, which I personally thought, look, it wasn't great stuff, but I didn't think it took away from the movie really at all. I couldn't really tell you 5 things that happened between the humans, other than, that we had the conspiracy theorist podcaster who was constantly trying to prove all these things.
No, you had Elle and the fat guy from Transformers, and then the nerdy guy from Transformers who were trying to get in to infiltrate to reveal the bad guy. They didn't do anything other than.
But I think my point is that this movie is really just about they got it right, in that people just want to see monsters fighting, and that's what they got. And there was some plot in there that didn't take away from it, but wasn't necessarily great either. And for that reason, it's fine. I judge these types of movies on how my kids respond. And generally my daughters were scared. My sons thought it was amazing. So that's a
They
win.
were scared? Scared of what?
Well, my youngest daughter, she's dramatic. So she was just a little scared at some points, and it was
an hour and 53 minutes. Can you imagine if they cut all that stupid crap out and it was just an hour and a half? I would go back and rewatch that movie if it was an hour and a half, because
I have no problems going back and watching it again.
I would too. I would take my boys because they wanted to see it, but I'd watch it for this. I just think the other thing that was stupid was this whole center of the earth thing got confusing. These ships were flying down in a free fall the same speed as the monkey. Okay, wait, whatever. I'm not going to argue with that. They get down to the bottom, and again, that's thousands of miles of rock that they just climbed through. He goes to his little throne room because he's the king, and then he sits down. And then Godzilla, for some reason, is in Hong Kong looking for the other energy source or whatever. And that happens to be a place where he can blast direct. Hong Kong is apparently directly on top of the chamber where the throne is. And he lasers down through the core of the earth, all the way down to Kong. And the beam stops just underneath the ground, stops the fight there. And then Godzilla screams down the hole, and then Godzilla screams back down the hole. And I'm like, okay. And then Godzilla starts fighting the Robotech Godzilla, and then instantly Kong climbs out of the hole. He climbed all the way up that stupid thing and got out, and I'm like, this is ridiculous. And then the fight went from it was I don't know, 7 o'clock at night till dark. And then it was morning by the time the end of the movie, right?
Yeah, no, it was.
This is
Yeah.
I don't know.
I just thought it was funny how, Kong and Godzilla, like I said, it just got kind of human-esque, where we're buddies now. High five. Let's go beat up Mecha Godzilla.
Yeah.
Yay.
And Godzilla won. And I was talking to my brother about this. He appreciated that there was a definitive winner. There was. Godzilla won. Even though, again, King Kong had been sedated for the whole movie and climbed up the freaking entire Earth. You remember how tired he was when he climbed up the Empire State Building in the original? Well, now he climbed up the entire half of the Earth, and he gets out, and then they fight. But he's also old. And again, this is not the same Kong. If Kong from Skull Island fought this Godzilla, it may have come out differently. This is retired Apollo Creed fighting Drago. That's what this is like. But he gets up there, I'm like, I don't even care at this point. The fight was awesome. But
I love how we're analyzing if Kong was in his prime, he could have taken Godzilla, but
He's different. He's all wizened. He didn't care. There's people around him, like, and I was like, remember in Skull Island when Riley's like, look, he got pissed off because you don't just go. This is his house, and you don't go into someone's house and start dropping bombs, and that's why he freaked out and destroyed all of your helicopters. In this one, he sits down on his throne, does the Thundercats cry or whatever, and then all of a sudden they start launching these little drones and landing and walking around and start carving out things in the ground, and he's like, I don't care until they pull guns on each other, and then suddenly I care. And again, you can't just scan a rock and send that to your base up on the surface and then them like retrieve energy from that and power the skull or whatever that animated the robot that turned and fried the guy's brains and all that crap. I'm like, what the crap is this? Like, there was no point other than to have a dramatic twist so our heroes would be in danger. And by the way, they've spent enough time, 50 years apparently, studying Skull Island. They know what these weird habitats are like and these crazy insects and stuff. They just land and they open the ship, and the first ones out are the little kid, the girl, and the guy. Not the soldiers and the scientists. Those three step out of the ship, walking around his floor. And then they look up and they see these bats. And they're like, nah. And then after the fight starts, then the bats attack. I'm like, okay. I was just so dumb. It was just dumb. The script was bad. The effects were beautiful. If you just want to go watch a beautiful movie, and just
and like I said, I mean, look, if the fight scenes were sometimes comical but fun to watch, and that's all I wanted. I had very low expectations coming in. I just
You did? I had high expectations.
I walked in. And truth be told, it could have just been me being excited to be in a theater again. But I was there. I'm like, yes, this is the movie I really wanted to see in the theater. I get an opportunity to see it in the theater, get my popcorn, my drink, and it's awesome and it's visually beautiful and all of that together. I just kind of looked past a lot of things, but I was expecting the plot to not be great. I was like, you know what? They're not going to spend a lot of time. This is going to be your typical CGI fest that's going to show you how cool their effects are. I could tell from the trailer that's what it was going to be. So I was just like, you know what? Let's just go in there and just enjoy it and have a good time and not think about it too hard. And Tim clearly had a different thought. He was like, I'm going to go in here critically and look at this as if it's an Academy Award.
I'm going trying to follow this basic monster movie story and end up completely baffled by there's the new base that starts with an S, and then there's the Monarch, and they're not there anymore, and there's this scientist guy with the Asian henchman, and there's this scientist that hires the other guy, then there's this other lady that has the people on the boats, and there's the other lady that turns and then they're trying to recreate kryptonite to kill Superman. I was like, I don't understand what the crap's going on. All I know is we need to get to the fight, and Kong has a magic Thor axe, and so I don't even care about the fight anymore. Anyway, there's my question. Which fight did you like better, the one on the boats or the one in the city?
Oh, I don't know. I like them both for different reasons.
What did you like on the boat?
I thought the fights on the boats were more intense and exciting. Like, anticipating Godzilla coming up to fight him as he's sitting there on the battleship.
Yeah,
that was really cool.
He dragged that half of the ship under, and he's watching it. You're like, dude.
Yeah, so that was all cool, but I think that visually the backdrop of like the neon Japan and them fighting was just so much more visually pleasing and exciting. Plus it was cool to have, we all knew it was happening, having Kong and Godzilla come together to fight the Mecha Godzilla.
Godzilla. It was totally Iron Man. He does his little thrust to do a downward hit, shoots missiles from his joints up. I'm like, hey, this is Iron Man.
Yeah, well, regardless, it was fun to watch them come together and fight him and win. So, like I said, for different reasons, I like them both. I think the intensity of the fight on the battleship, if I was going to say which one I like better, I think that the battleship one, there was more excitement to it because it was the first time you were going to see them fight. Yeah. And also the anticipation.
You knew where it was going to go later. You had no idea what was going to happen on the ship. You knew where the end was going to go.
Right. So I think it was yeah, I think.
My question though is, in learning sign language, Ashley, have you learned the lesson that taught you that when your shoulder's dislocated, how to force it back in? Because someone taught that to Kong.
That was what I was talking about. That was like straight out of Lethal Weapon. Yeah.
What about you, Ashley? Which fight did you like better?
Okay, so
Let me preface this.
The boa fight, I was literally like this, like the whole time, just like.
Like, don't hurt each other, just love each other.
No, I was just like, what? When Kong fell under the water, I'm like, oh, he's gonna drown, and like Godzilla got hit. I was like, oh no, he's gonna break his neck, and I was like, it was just this whole time, and I was like, I want the animals to be friends, kill the humans, and then move on with life. You know, like.
Kill all the humans.
I was like, if you have to, like, they're the ones causing all the problems. Like, you know, anyway, it was just sad. And then, but yeah, I really liked the fight where they were able to, like, to be friends and be, like, it was so nice. I was like, yay!
That's a humanitarian with these monsters.
They were so cute.
I think I agree with you, Josh. I visually, I enjoyed the spectacle of the last fight was awesome and better than the end of Godzilla King of the Monsters, because that just there was just, like I complained about before, that fight you couldn't watch because it was always from the perspective of crashing vehicles and through rubble and aircrafts and stuff. You couldn't sit and just watch the fight. This one you could very clearly. And I liked the first fight though, because you really had that feeling of them like we're in water, like it was like Jaws, like we're in water. This is his terrain, and these ships, our missiles aren't doing anything, our planes aren't doing anything. Godzilla's got the upper hand, and even when they got the cuffs, even though the ship goes completely upside down, the engines and the consoles are all completely blacked out, except for the one terminal that had the button to push to unlock the clamps. Okay, but anyway, and then Kong just pulls himself out of the water and it flips his ship back. And have you ever tried to get back into a canoe, Josh? It's not as easy as him just climbing right up on top and it stays level. I'm like, okay. Anyway, and then he starts jumping. I'm like, these ships are destroyed. At the end, they're like, if we turn off our ships, then he'll think we're dead. Only Godzilla looks back and opens his eyes and makes eye contact with Godzilla. And I'm like, okay, apparently that didn't work. But then Godzilla just swims away. I'm like, all right, good job, writers. Anyway, but the suspense, the anticipation, you didn't know what was going to happen. And they were completely vulnerable on top of on the ships and stuff. I liked that fight. I thought it was really cool. And again, didn't fit it. I was just like, I like the planes. So you want the camera of the view of the plane taking off the ship as it was going under. A lot of cool camera work at the end where the ship, where they were flying around the laser and coming up against his face and going down his back, like all kinds of stuff like that. It was really awesome stuff. I like the visuals. I think the cinematography in Skull Island was still better, but this was still really creative and cool. Godzilla has never impressed me with the cinematography.
So I would agree with you. I think Skull Island it's all around just a better movie. But like I said, I would say that this is, of those movies, this is my second favorite.
I agree.
And it's far and away above the other, even the original Godzilla, which I liked. The King of Monsters was kind of rough. I think the King of Monsters, I had a much higher expectation than I did out of this one.
They put too much in there. It was too.
Yeah, So I think that this was a good movie. If we're gonna put we always do our celestial, terrestrial, telestial, which is where I think we were going.
Let's say celestial is go see it in the theater.
Yeah.
Terrestrial is you can watch it but buy it, and telestial is watch it if you're gonna watch it.
Yeah. So I would put it in celestial. I would say you should see it in the theater.
I agree.
And it is one that I am going to, even though it's going to be on HBO Max and all that stuff, I'm still going to purchase it and have it in my collection.
Yeah. Ashley, what about you? Don't watch it because it's sad.
It's not sad. It's so happy. No, I think it's like, it was a good theater movie. And like, I think it was like kind of fun to have it as like a coming back to a theater movie too,
yes.
You know, because again, yeah,
this movie might do what Tenet didn't do.
Yeah, no, 100%, 110%. Yeah. Yeah.
Because You could almost follow this plot.
The thing is also is that like going to this movie, it made me remember why I liked going to the theater so much, because it's just, this is exactly like Tenet. You could have seen at home and it wouldn't have bothered you, you know, like I mean, I think I gave it a celestial rating anyway because I thought it was kind of nice to see it in the theater, but at the same time it's one where if you saw it on TNT or whatever, it's just as good, you know. You wouldn't have to. This is one where it's like you got to see it in the theater. And I think that on a completely different topic, I think that there's a few movies that are coming out that are just like that. Like it's a good time for them to be opening up, because like Mortal Kombat comes out. That's a big time theater movie.
Dune looks awesome. That looks like a spectacle.
Yeah, Dune looks amazing.
Black
there was
Widow
one
looks
other one.
and boring.
Oh, the next Suicide Squad. I mean, that looks like it's going to be, you know, interesting too. Fast and Furious. I mean, these are all movies that you go see that in the theater for the sound quality.
You got to hear those revving engines as close as you can. Surround sound. You feel like you're around 30 cars.
It's fun.
Some of us are car people, Tim. Okay.
Yeah.
So
they're lame. All right. So Celestial for all three of us. So Celestial. Go see it, love it, enjoy it, and then don't hurt your brain trying to figure out why in all those hundreds of years that Kong has been and his people have been on Skull Island, no one knew it existed because it was invisible because of the electric storm cloud that's completely around the island at all times. But when they pull Kong out of there and put him in the Truman Show, magically their new argument is like, if it wasn't for the Truman Show, Godzilla would know where he is. Dumb writing, dumb plot, dumb script.
You're right. You shouldn't think about all that.
Don't think about all that. Just watch it and just shut your ears and enjoy the show.
Otherwise, you'll have a life like Tim, where you just think about all the things that you just hate about everything that everybody enjoys.
I just need to be logical. But again,
I'm sorry. Wait, I'm sorry. Are you
about this movie?
Yeah, you seriously. So I'm sorry. It's just Godzilla versus Kong just wasn't realistic enough.
If some scientists found the center of the Earth looked like that, like flat earthers would be freaking out, like so excited, like this is a whole new thing, right? And there's like this reverse gravity, all these new creatures and stuff, and blue rocks that are glowing. None of that's as fascinating as we got to see what this power source is. Like this is crazy stuff. Like there's so much to explore here, but they're like, well, we're gonna turn our machine guns on this little girl because we gotta just figure out what this rock is, because clearly we'll never see it again. That rock was all over the ground when they first got down. They're not just in the throne room. Why did they... I'm done. Anyway, it's fun. Go watch it. Celestial rating, and then you'll never see another one. Go back and watch Skull Island over and over and over. I see it all the time. Anyone that hasn't watched that, I always say, sit down. We're watching it right now. It's good. Good stuff.
Good one.
Yep. All right. Any final thoughts, Ashley? You love it. Everyone wins in the end. Oh, that is like, oh, he's out for his morning walk. Keep rolling.
It was adorable.
I think he'd be done with Kong after that show. Anyway, Josh, anything else?
No, I think we pretty much summed it all up.
I had more notes written down for bad lines and stuff, but I'll forgo that, and you can just watch it and enjoy the cheesy lameness of a bad plot and enjoy it. Anyway, that's us talking about Kong Skull Godzilla Island, whatever it's called.
Godzilla versus Kong, for crying out loud.
Godzilla versus the Kong, the King of Kings versus the other King of Kings. So, anyway.
None of that is actually in the theater. None of that's actually in the title, guys. Just so we're clear.
No.
Okay.
But essentially, you have the underworld King of Kings with his throne and scepter, and then you have the above world water guardian King of Kings. Anyway. Okay, thanks for watching Saints on Cinema. We'll catch you next time.